Hey, friends. This is Martine Williams, and I am obsessed with all things mompreneur life and helping you to remix your priorities, your habits, your mindsets, and yes, even your relationships so that you can build a successful business without losing yourself in the process. I'm also obsessed with the color turquoise and lyrics of the 80s and 90s, but that's beside the point. Girlfriend, you don't have to hustle 24/7, 365 and continue to sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your sanity to be a successful mompreneur. As a small town girl living in a lonely world to a six-figure mompreneur, I am here to teach you how. There is a better way, and this podcast is your one-stop shop for all of the how-tos, the encouragement, the life hacks, the success tips, and of course, a little side of tough love. This is the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. So let's do this. Hey, friends. This is episode 24 of the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. And I titled this one, We Didn't See This Coming. And I want to go ahead and say, first and foremost, number one, I'm not pregnant. Number two, I'm not getting divorced. And number three, I'm not sick. So I just wanted to calm any thoughts or feelings that you may have had by reading that title. But when I say that I didn't see this coming, I truly mean that I did not see this coming. So 2021 has been, was quite the year for me. For a lot of you, 2020 was probably a difficult year. We went through, still going through the pandemic, but that was when it first hit. But really 2021 for me, I would say change. Unexpected. There were a lot of unexpected circumstances that happened in 2021, unexpected injuries. So in January of last year, I was on a ski trip with my family, and I don't ski. I don't do snowboarding anymore either, but I was snowboarding for the second time and fell and severely sprained my MCL in my knee and bruised the bone. And what I thought was going to be a 6-week recovery ended up being, 3 months, 4 months. And even now I still don't feel like it's as strong as it could be. And it probably will never be the same, but I didn't expect that to be so difficult because I'm a healthy person and I was working out, 5 to 6 days a week prior to the injury. And I really my expectation was that I would bounce back super fast. And what was a physical injury turned into an emotional time for me, because when you go from, full force, working out, very active to not able to do those things, it really, really took me down. And it was not by accident. We know that God allows these things to happen for us, not to us. And I do believe that season was for me to get more in tune with my emotions and for me to be okay with being upset. And, one of the things he said to me in that season was, you're not going to be able just to push through this pain, Martine. I need you to feel the pain and deal with it instead of just trying to, quickly move on into the next thing. So I learned a lot in that season, and I'm a better person because of that struggle that I went through, and I'm able to be more empathetic with people. And then, so that was in January. And then in August, I had COVID, and those of you that have been following the show know all of this, but those of you that are new, just want to kind of give you the backstory. So then I had COVID in August, was really sick with COVID for, again, me thinking I'm healthy, I'm going to be able to go through this, thought I was over the hump, and then day 8 hit, and day 8 through 15 was awful. I had a headache for over 30 days, and it was just unexpected, which again brought up emotion. And then I had some really high moments as a business person. Both of my businesses were growing, both of my businesses were profitable, and was kind of at the top of my game. And we also had an unexpected diagnosis of my father-in-law with brain cancer in July. So that was kind of another valley moment. And we're kind of walking out his last days, actually, as this episode is going to be posted. So just a lot of unexpected things happened in 2021. Good things, bad things, things that made me just go, why me, Lord, or why is this happening? And my word for 2021 was respond. I wanted to be better at responding to situations versus reacting, especially as a mom. Another not unexpected, but another season of change. Both of my boys are teenagers. And so just navigating teen life as a mom, and, I can lose my cool pretty quickly. And so because I was reacting to everything. And I mean, talk about knee injury, COVID, a terminal diagnosis, like it just, you don't want to react to those things. You want to be able to respond appropriately. So as I can look back on the year, like those were all opportunities that God gave me to learn to respond, and to learn to respond to his voice, to learn to respond to the situations and circumstances that were coming into my life, and not just quickly react and then move on. So in my aspiration to respond, the Lord really, gave me many things to consider. Number one, slow down. We can't respond if we are moving so fast through life that we miss opportunities to really think things through, right? Or even notice other perspectives or other things that could impact how to respond. If you're moving so fast, then you just react and move on, and you miss those moments where responding could have given you a better outcome. The second thing was get in tune with my feelings and be more empathetic with other people who I would call them, feelers. Like they're so in tune with their emotions, and they have no problem sharing those emotions. Well, for me, I associated that with trauma. And so I was not able to be as compassionate or empathetic with those people who were able to share their emotion. I'm like, oh, they're just being dramatic, right? Even my youngest son is a very emotional teenager. And so when he's been showing all these emotion all these years, like I have just basically called him a drama king. And now I realize he's just in tune with his emotions, and he's learning how to be able to appropriately communicate those emotions. But overall, like he's not being dramatic. He's just showing his emotion. So that's been a huge process for me, is getting in tune with my emotions with my knee injury, and just all the things that I went through that recovery. And sometimes, it's not always about just fixing it. I'm a fixer. So instead of feeling, I'd rather just fix it and move on. You can call it avoidance, you can call it whatever you want, but that's just how I've been wired. And sometimes we need to feel what's happening on a deeper level and just allow the tears to flow. And I mean, I'm going to tell you, I shed more tears in 2021 than I have in a really long time. And so that was all God's way of helping me to learn to respond to my own emotion. And the last one was, am I being obedient to his call in this season? We know there's, seasons for everything. And this really came after my battle with COVID. There's something about being that sick that really gets your attention to what you're doing with your gift of time on this earth, which we know can change in an instant, and with who you're spending your time with. And so through those valley moments last year, I can truly say that I'm thankful for them now, because they got my attention. I didn't love them while I was in them, but they got my attention. And for someone who is determined and, again, just a fix it and move on type of person, like the Lord just really slowed me down to get my attention, to allow me to ask myself some hard questions. Questions like, am I making a real difference in the lives of others? Am I enjoying my journey? Am I in God's will for my life in this season? Am I being obedient to what gets my energy, my time, and my gifts? And those are hard questions, and they're hard questions to answer sometimes, because we know what the answer is. And that's hard to look in the mirror at yourself and realize you're not where you're supposed to be, or a season of change is getting ready to occur. And as a coach, I see so many women doing what they've always done, not because of a calling or a purpose or even enjoyment, but because it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's just habit, or they just don't see any other opportunities. So just recently, my coach said to me, Martine, you're trying to figure out all the details before making a decision. And that's not how life works. You make the decision, and then clarity and even the opportunities come your way. The answers appear. That's also what a friend called, it's the faith walk, right? You take the leap and the safety net appears. That doesn't mean that Shaw and I make, decisions on a whim, or that we don't seek counsel, or we don't think things through and pray through things and make irresponsible decisions. We definitely seek counsel and we prayerfully plan. But I either believe God's got my back or I don't. I either believe he knows what's best for me or I don't. I either believe he is faithful or I don't. It's simple, right? But for someone like me who is a facts person, it's not easy. It's not easy. And how ironic that that very same coaching I give others, I am now having to give myself. I'm having to coach myself through a season right now that is not fun. It's not comfortable, but I know that it's the next season. And I do believe those things. I do believe all those things, that God's got my back and he knows what's best for me. And I can no longer ignore and be borderline disobedient to what he has next for me. And I don't know what all those details are. I wish I did, but I do know that my season as a 31 consultant and leader has come to an end. And I have wrestled with God over this. Have you ever done that? Just wrestled and wrestled and wrestled with God over this? But God, I just celebrated 15 years with this amazing company. My business is it's going well. We are growing. We, became a top level team again. I'm serving on one of the most prestigious boards in the company again, because of my team. And I have all these amazing women in relationships, and things are just going so well, Lord. Why now? Why are you doing this? And if I'm being truthful and really honest with myself, it's been at least 3 to 4 years that I have felt this tug, and I have justified away staying. And I've justified why I don't want to leave and why I don't want that season to end. And he simply answered me, for such a time as this, Martine, and do you trust me? And again, I've tried to justify in my practical brain why I need to stay. And I've done that for so long. And that's why I say I've been walking borderline on disobedience. But it all pales in comparison to that call for change. And he has been gracious to me during this wrestling over these years. And yet 100% has removed my desire to stay despite any rationale, despite any security that this opportunity has provided for me for 15 years. And I will say that's probably why I've held on to it. Is number one, I'm a very loyal person. And I learned that about myself. I've always been a loyal person, but I never looked at it through the lens that the Pro Scan helped me to see. And if you didn't listen to, I think it was episode 21 or 22 with Becca Johnson, where we kind of dive into the Pro Scan. I'm a very strong allegiant person. And so I hook my heart to things and I'm all in, right? I'm just all in. And that allegiance, while is a great quality to have, it also put me in a state, I believe, of disobedience for a time, because he was unhooking. He was trying to pull me out and unhook me from that. And I was holding on and holding on and holding on. And I've been holding on. And so only through him can I say that I've 100% lost the desire. He had to remove that last piece for me to truly see that this was my next step. And what a gracious God that he is, that he did that for me, because I know many of you have stepped out in faith without any of that, just completely stepping out in faith. And, he gives you your next steps when you do that. But there have been a series of decisions that Shaw and I have been called to in preparation for this change, even without knowing it. Just if I could tell you just the confirmations that have been given to us so graciously that this is the right step, and the provisions that have already taken place for us in this change, it's just been mind-blowing. And while the income has still been amazing, I realized that. And God said this to me when I was walking Finn, our dog, a couple of weeks ago. He said, "You've been more loyal, you've been more allegiant to that company and to your comfort at that company than you've been to your calling in this next season. And that just kind of drove a dagger into my heart. And again, was a confirmation. Okay, you're right. I have been. I've been so focused on this secure place and all the amazing things that are happening and have been happening over these last 15 years, that I was not listening and not ready to receive what he was trying to tell me. I'm like, no, he's not really saying that to me. You're really not asking me that. Are you really asking me that? And so, well, I love the direct sales industry, and I know you're thinking, what's next? It's very clear to me that is not my next step, is to join another direct selling company at this time. He's made that abundantly clear. That's not what's next at this time. And I'm so thankful for all the amazing opportunities and the women and the men that I have met through these 15 years with 31. I still believe it's one of the best companies out there with the best opportunity, the best people. And I would definitely be one of their best customers still to this day. But my time is done. That assignment is over. And I know that. I don't know what's going to be next for me. He has not. Isn't that funny how he says this is what he wants me to do, yet he hasn't told me what my next steps are. All I know right now is I need some time. I need time to listen. I need time to rest, time to reset. And for the first time, really, in my adult life as a working, mom, I just want time to just be a mom and a wife. I've always been very driven and being an entrepreneur and wanting to be an entrepreneur, really, since I started, kind of took the leap of faith into the entrepreneur world. But right now, that's my heart's desire and where I know God is calling me to for a short season. I mean, y'all know this mompreneur can't stay idle too long. So I don't know how long this season is. And I don't know if he's pulling me into a season of rest because something really big and great is coming in 2022, or whether he's calling me into the season of rest because something really big and challenging is getting ready to happen in 2022. But I do know this rest season is where he has me. And I'm super thankful to have, Shaw's support in this decision and his belief in the goodness that will come from this change. It's always helpful to have, those closest to you to be in support of this change. And, I really wrestled with, is this something that I need to share, publicly with everyone, or is it just important for those people that it's going to impact the most? And again, it's not been another one of those wrestling things with God, because I just thought, well, I'm done. I've already shared, by the time this episode is being posted, I've already shared it with the people that matter most. My team knows, obviously the home office knows, my coach, and, my family knows about it. And quick story about that. So when we sat the kids down and told the kids about it, I mean, that all they've known is 31. All they've known is mom having this really cool, bag business. And when, of course I was upset about it, and my husband's trying to kind of, I guess, lighten up the air a little bit. And so Lucas is 16, he's about to be 17, and Nash has turned 14. And I've had this business for 15. So again, Lucas pretty much was raised, and Nash were raised up in this business. But Shaw says, so yeah, your mom gets to be, a full-time wife and mom for a season. And Lucas said, my oldest, he said, well, in that case, he said, I guess, I expect, breakfast and eggs in the morning, every morning before I go to school, and, a 4-course meal for dinner at night, and brownies on the counter every day when I come home from school. And we all just kind of chuckled and laughed. And it was definitely the humor I needed at that time. And then my youngest said, Mom, like, what's going to happen to all your bags? Like, are you going to have to put them back in plastic and send them back? Like, are they all just going to disappear? So it's just funny, the difference in perspective and how your children hear things and process things. And so I needed both of those laughs in that moment. But one of the things, you've heard me share this, maybe I didn't share it on a podcast yet, but when we first moved into this new home, which was another unexpected, we were not looking to move in 2021. We weren't looking to sell or to buy. But this home that we have loved so much over the years became available. And yeah, it was just like one of those things where God just opened the door, we walked, opened the door, we walked, opened the door, we walked through. And next thing I know, this all happened while I was sick with COVID. Like next thing I know, we're selling our house and moving into this new house, totally unexpected. In the same neighborhood, just around the corner, we downsized. I mean, our kids are, getting older, and just felt like this was the right decision. And so in the mornings when I sit outside, we live on a deep water canal, and it's the same canal that our other house was on. So this is what's so interesting about this story. So I was sitting there out there the first week, drinking my coffee and doing my devotional. And I kept hearing these two birds, and most annoying sound ever. And I thought, what in the world are they doing? And what kind of birds are they? So I finally figured out that they were kingfishers, which I actually really love a kingfisher. I'm not a bird lover or I study birds or anything, but when you live on the creek, there's all kinds of wildlife around you. But the kingfishers are the cutest little birds. So anyway, but I'd never really heard them before. I've only seen them sitting, and I've never saw them at our other house. And so I finally told my husband after a couple of weeks, I said, are you here? Do you hear those birds? Like, I don't know if they're fighting, if they're mating, I don't know what they're doing. And he said, well, why don't you look it up and see? And so we both Googled it, and he said, what does yours say? I'm like, well, I said, mine just says they're from, like where they're from and where they originated from and all that. And Shaw said, that's not what mine says. And I said, well, what does yours say? And this is what his says. And I'm just going to read it because I definitely couldn't remember it word for word. But he said, the kingfisher, the First Nations of the Northwest Coast believe that the kingfisher is the promise of abundance, of new warmth, prosperity, and love that is about to unfold within your life. The kingfisher indicates a period of increased mental and spiritual activity, and he will show you how to manifest your destiny by listening to your intuition. And, at that time, we first moved into this house. Again, this decision was not made overnight. Like these were the thoughts that were going through my head. I was already having that wrestling moment with God about everything. And I thought that was just such a powerful thing for us to be able to see that these two birds are surrounding us. And it was just like, God speaking to me about this new season that I'm getting ready to come into, the promise of abundance, of new warmth and prosperity. And I literally just tears just started flowing down my eyes when he read that to me. And the interesting thing was last week we went to, well, I don't know when, I guess after Christmas, we always go out of town and go out to the country, just my family. And that same bird, not the same one that's here, but the same kind of bird was out there too. So it's not just a saltwater bird, it's freshwater as well. And I could hear him, whatever. And so I don't know. Those are all like, again, for me, confirmations and God's way of just letting me know that he's with me in this, because he knows it's a hard decision. And I believe in full faith that he's already walked before me and knows what's next for me. And even though he hasn't given me all those details, Lord, I wish he'd go ahead and do that, but he hasn't. So what's next for me? Again, this season of rest. And you can be sure that I'll be sharing, this next season and all the ups and downs on this podcast. I really have so much to say already, and how God is doing a work in me in this transition, but it's really, too much for just one episode or too much for one social media live or whatever. So be sure to continue to connect with me here on the podcast and stay tuned. But I still will be life coaching a handful of women, because I do believe strongly that is not only my passion, but it's also my purpose. So I'll still be coaching mompreneurs, and I'm excited for this season. I know that God has something amazing he's going to do in and through me in the coming months. There's already been opportunities that have come up, and he's just showing up and showing off. And it's really encouraging to me. So if you are kind of in this season, and I just want you to know, I understand the fear. I understand the disbelief that this is the season that he might be calling you into. I understand the anxiety that goes along with that, but I also understand his goodness and his faithfulness, and that he knows what's best for us, and he's not done with us. And your identity is not wrapped up in the company you represent or the role that you feel like you have in this season. He has multiple assignments for us, I believe. And 31 has been an amazing assignment for me for 15 years. I mean, I think about the person I was on day one in 2006 of when I started my business with 31 and to where I'm at today. I'm just a totally different person. I even said to a friend yesterday, I said, the reason I started my business was because I wanted to have connections with women. And, I was that bitter wife at Shaw because he had all these hobbies and I didn't. And I said, there's a little bit of fear that, could that creep up again? And she was like, you're a totally different person, Martine. Like you're not the same person that you were when you were going through all that. And I believe that. And the fact that he's 100% removed that desire for me and the season that I'm in right now. And again, I've never wanted to just be a mom and a wife. I know some of you, that's just, you feel that's your calling, and the clock is, you're always on the clock when you're a mom, right? So it's work, whether you're working outside the home, in the home, being a mom. But and y'all know I don't like to cook, but I'm thinking I might want to learn some new recipes and just enjoy this gift, because I do think it is a gift he's given me. And it's not one that everyone has the opportunity to take time from work, take time off from work to rest and to listen and to reflect. And I know that because of the opportunity that I've had with 31, I'm able to do this. And so I'm thankful for 31 and for Cindy and Scott and all of those at the home office that have made such an amazing opportunity for so many women. And I believe that they're going to do nothing but great things in 2022. And so I ask for your prayers and your support. And, in this next season, if you've ever been through a season of change like this and transition, it's not easy, that it's very uncomfortable. And I know I'm going to be grieving the loss of this opportunity and grieving lots of different things. But, my prayer is that I would just be open to the possibilities, open to what he has next for me, even if it is a longer season of just being a mom. I was actually texting a friend today saying how I don't know how to rest. I know how to take a nap. I know how to rest like for the short term, but what are my days gonna look like? And because my default is to work. But I know that he wants me to not be consumed with work during this season. So who knows? Maybe I'll take up hip hop dancing again. Maybe I'll take up a new hobby of sorts, or I'd love to learn something new during this season and be able to focus in on that. But most importantly, I just want to clearly hear from him and what his next assignment is for me. So that's what I didn't see coming. And I thank you all, for those of you that do know, before listening to today, just the messages that you've sent me, and of encouragement, of understanding how hard this decision was. Probably one of the hardest decisions I've had to make. I know it's the hardest one I've had to make professionally, but just your love and support and your excitement to see what God's going to do next. I need those messages. So I appreciate those of you that have sent those out to me. And if you've had a similar situation or you're walking through that similar situation, send me a message on IG and let's chat. I'd love to be here for you. I've had all the hard conversations. I know, again, the next few days and weeks are probably going to be tough as I grieve this next season, but I just appreciate your support and your prayers. And I will keep you up to speed here on the podcast, definitely on Instagram, of what's to come. I'm still going to be putting out podcast episodes, still going to be supporting, like I said, my coaching clients. And we will see. God is good, right? And we will see what he is going to do in and through me in this next season. And I don't doubt for a second that it'll be for my good and for his glory. So thank you for listening to this episode. It's kind of a life update of what's been going on with me. And as we move through January and February, I'm going to be trying to support you with your New Year's resolutions, bringing on Turquoise Talk guests to help you with the different areas. This last episode, I shared with you kind of the top 10 New Year's resolutions. Again, I'm not a big fan of the word resolution, but you can call it priority, and kind of help support you. So whether it's exercise or healthy eating or organization or, books to read, I have my stack of books. That's what I'm going to be doing a little bit in my season of rest is I plan to do a lot of reading of books. I have stacks and stacks and stacks of books that I have not made time to read in 2021. So that's definitely one of mine. And then journaling as well. So I will keep you up to date here on the podcast, but those are some episodes you can look forward to as far as New Year's resolutions, kind of help support that. And y'all know I'm always believing in you, and thank you for believing in me. And I will catch you on the next episode. Love ya, mean it. Well, that's a wrap, friends, for this week's episode of the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for following the show. It means so much to me. And listen, friend, sharing is caring. So if you loved this episode and thought of some fellow mompreneurs who could benefit, send them the link. Share this episode or take a screenshot and head on over to Instagram and share and tag me at Martine31Williams. We are connected on Instagram, right? It's where you will get all the fun behind the scenes of my life and business as a mompreneur. Until next time, know that I am believing in you always.